My name is Kevin Pazer. I'm the Executive Director of the Porter County Museum. For any of you who have known this institution for the last 10 years, you may know it as the Poco Muse. This is incredibly exciting to me tonight to have you all here. This is a monumental night in our own history and something maybe we don't acknowledge very often. The Porter County Museum has existed for the last almost 106 years in Porter County. And what's incredible to me is that really almost, if these buildings weren't in the way, you could see all of the locations that this museum existed in that last century plus. We started in the library in 1916. We moved to the courthouse and opened up in 1938. We then moved to the 1871 jail and opened in 1975. And you are all part of history tonight as we open in the fourth home since 1916 at 20 Indiana Avenue. And so it's really cool to have the opportunity here to work with the Field Museum and to work with my colleague Serena at the Westchester Township History Museum and so many other regional partners in looking at this exhibit we've called a Calumet Tapestry, in that blending of both history and art. And for me, even looking at the building, that you might say, oh, there's this nondescript brick building in the middle of downtown, but there's a lot of history in this site. And knowing back for a long stretch of time, some of you even remember, I think, I don't know if he's still here, Mel Bowman had mentioned a personal connection to some of the artwork on display of like having Alfred Meyer as his professor. But I know people who remember Max Hildreth and Wendell Osterhoff for the filling station that was on this corner. And to be able to take something that was part of everyday life and industry and to meld this and to be able to display art and share history and do these cool things, it doesn't get much better than that. So as I promised I would keep this brief, I'd like to introduce Serena Ard, who is a curator at Westchester Township History Museum. I made the joke earlier that I'm not even certain she likes me. I think she tolerates me. I've worked with her for a long time, and sort of being shepherded by the Field Museum into a project like this, it's reminded me that we are all doing the same thing. And it's so much better when we can do it together. So I know this is just the beginning with this exhibit, that there's a lot of stuff we want to work together to share history in Porter County. And she's got some things she'd like to share with you.
I think this is one of the most exciting projects I have ever had the opportunity to work on. Not just because I can say something like, oh, we worked with the Field Museum, but just because of the eye-opening experience it was for me to be able to look at our collections in a new light and to be able to look at this region in a new light from a new lens and a new perspective. And I hope you think it's as great of an exhibit as we do, because let me tell you, it has been a long 4 or 5 year project that we have been working on this. Thank you, COVID. And there has been a lot of love, a lot of labor put into this exhibit. Indigenous peoples have inhabited the Calumet region long before Europeans and Americans came on the scene. Although we do not have items in our collections that appropriately, adequately, or respectfully represent ththose cultures, it is important to us to recognize their continuing place in the story of the Calumet region. For centuries, the Ho-Chunk, Missouri, Iowa, Miami, Potawatomi, Sac and Fox, Ojibwa, Ottawa, and Menominee tribes thrived in the Calumet region with its abundant plant and animal life and water sources. We tried to carry out that same theme into this exhibit by highlighting the way nature, industry, and culture coexist in the Calumet region. We hope you enjoy the exhibit and perhaps take the opportunity to view the region from a totally new perspective. At this time, I would like to introduce Mark Bowman, the Field Museum's Chicago Region Program Director and past president of the Calumet Heritage Partnership.
Why would the Field Museum be interested in the Calumet region? You know, we've been around. That is our mission. We do connect people to the story of nature and people. we've been around for 125 years, have been collecting elements of nature and culture and stories from this place, which turns out to be a really compelling and important place. Driven by that curiosity, driven by the desire to bring the story of the natural world and people to everybody, and where we can possibly do it. Lately, in the last couple decades, we've been really focused in this region in doing that with people as much as possible, not so much as a temple of expertise, but as a convening forum for people to come together and tell their stories, to blend them. One reason that this is especially resonant for me is that I'm a proud graduate of the geography department at VU. To see Alfred Meyer's maps on the wall is something that I've been thinking about for a very long time. When we were in the geography department over there as youngsters, hopefully not winding up in here, there were big maps on the wall of the Calumet region. If you walked in here as an 18-year-old, how could you not step away thinking about this particular place? It's amazing nature, where we sit geographically, what the glaciers did here, but then how people have made and expressed their culture on the landscape. And to that end, we've been very engaged in something called the Calumet Heritage Area effort. That effort is national designation. This region is nationally significant here at the crossroads of the continent, at the south end of Lake Michigan, and the story can be told in so many different ways of this place. And what a heritage area does is it brings local folks together who are deeply rooted in local place, helps them coordinate regionally, and to tell a nationally significant story. And I can't think of a better example of what a heritage area could be about than this whole process here and the story that's told inside.